Hello and welcome to the Gooner Talk. Hope you're doing good. Hope you're doing well. Welcome to the Arsenal Transfer Show, joining you every morning at 8 a.m. UK time. Hope you had a good start to your week. You've made it to match day. Arsenal are due to face Lyon in the Dubai Super Cup. It's a very strange tournament in which you get rewarded 2 points for a draw and there's a penalty shootout after every game. But to be honest, I don't really care about how the game is played, just that it's back, because I need a little bit more Arsenal in my life, and I'm finally going to be getting that Arsenal patch, if you will, on my arm back again, just to suffice me and tie me over until the Premier League returns on Boxing Day when Arsenal play against West Ham. But there's plenty more than just the football to talk about, and off the field stuff we've got to discuss and talk through with you guys as well, of course, as we always do every morning at 8 a.m. UK time. So make sure you continue to set your alarms to join us in the chat box live every single day. Good morning to you guys joining us in the chat box. Hope you're doing good and well. Matt G, good morning to you. Black Shine, Olu. We've got Yomi and Nikolai and Temi and Carl. We've got Red Star. We've got Carlton. We've got NSW pointing out, yes, Tom, a.k.a. the Fat Laporte. Vegas, Gooner, good morning to you. Good morning to Moabi. Good morning to Abdullah. Good morning to Marcus and Louis and Kaiser and so many more of you as well in the chat. Really appreciate always the kind words that go into there as well. And especially considering all the kind comments we got on yesterday's debut of the brand new podcast, the Eat, Sleep, Arsenal Repeat podcast. Some very kind comments were left in the comment section. Also, I can see plenty of kind comments left in the chat box this morning as well. So thank you so much. If you haven't already given it a watch or a listen, we're doing a new podcast every single week, once a week, most likely coming out on a Wednesday, depending on if Arsenal, of course, play on the Tuesday evening, because we record Tuesday evenings. Myself, Sophie from the Hybrid Squad, Owen from the Gooners Pod, and Dr. Raj at 3CB Performance, who provides some expert insight on injuries, on player health, and we talk a lot about our own fitness and health and want to really build a community as well of people that are wanting to get involved with kind of changing themselves a bit, getting fitter. Probably a good way to start is with the fact that we've got the new year coming up, New Year's resolutions and all that. We'll be talking about what our New Year's resolutions are in the first show of 2023. But we've got a show for you next week and the week after as we lead up until Christmas and the new year as well. So if you haven't given it a watch and you want to find out more about Gabriel Jesus' injury and when he might return, Emile Smith-Rowe coming back to action, and the effects of the World Cup on the team as well, certainly worth giving it a watch. I have tagged it as the main show on the Arsenal, on the Gooner Talks homepage. So give it a watch. It's the last upload on the channel. We kick off today, though, with some fantastic news. Vivian Miedemar scoring in a 1-0 win over Juventus means that Arsenal continue to maintain the top spot in their group. Lyon beat Zurich considerably to maintain pace. They're on 7 points while Arsenal are on 10, but they've now opened up a 5-point gap between themselves and Juventus. What this means is when Arsenal play Lyon, if they win that game, they will top the group. Lyon are obviously a very, very good side, but all they need to do is win their final game against Zurich in the group, maintain that 3-point gap. And of course, that will enable Arsenal to hopefully continue and go through as group leaders. They got a strong goal difference over Lyon as well, 7-3, because they smashed Lyon when they played Lyon in France. They've now got to play Lyon at home as well. And maybe they'll be finding their form once again. Barcelona as well, losing in their game against Bayern Munich, which means that they are now joint top of the group with Bayern, both on 9 points. So an interesting situation growing in the Women's Champions League. So make sure you go and check out the highlights of Viv's goal from last night. Arsenal are set to play Lyon, the men's Lyon, of course, today at 3:30 UK time. You can watch the game on arsenal.com. You can keep track of the game over on football.london. I'll be running the matchday blog. If anyone is watching this and happens to be at the game today, do drop me a DM. I'd love to hear from you and get some of your pictures and experiences included in the live blog. So if you are indeed taking part or going in any way, shape or form, please do let me know. I know there was someone who left a comment yesterday saying they were going to the game. Please do drop me a message. I'd love to get some thoughts from you guys and your experiences at the game as well today. Now, Takehiro Tomiyasu has now arrived in Dubai, despite the fact that he spoke after Japan's elimination from the World Cup against Croatia, saying he wanted to forget about football, he wanted to take a break. He has indeed now arrived in Dubai, supposedly to join up with the Arsenal squad. He may get a couple of days off. before he actually returns to kind of training and stuff like that. But he has indeed now travelled to Dubai, and he joins two other players, which gives Mikel Arteta a bit of a triple boost, if you will. Granit Xhaka, as we know, has returned, and the other player that has returned with the team is Matt Turner, who posted to his Instagram page that he was indeed in Dubai enjoying some time off. It appears that he'll have a few days off before then joining up with the squad. However, he has been told to leave Arsenal by former US men's national team goalkeeper Brad Friedel. He says that time will tell if it's the right decision in terms of moving to Arsenal. When you're in the MLS, this is what I'll say. It's hard to turn down a club like Arsenal coming in for you. But when you move and you're as good as Matt Turner, I'd like to think that you would move and you're being told that you were going to be the number one, which obviously wasn't the case at Arsenal. Matt's a heck of a nice guy and a heck of a good goalkeeper. I don't know what kind of deal they have with Arsenal or what, but I hope if he's not in the team or doesn't look like he's going to get near the team, then they would allow him to leave or go on loan. I personally think he's too good of a goalkeeper to be sitting on the bench. High praise from a former Premier League level goalkeeper, although former Spud, I should say. Yeah, never the biggest fan of when you see ex-Spurs players talking about Arsenal players, but as a fellow US men's national team goalkeeper, of course, maybe he is speaking for the benefits of Matt Turner. I think Turner had a really, really strong World Cup performance. Yes, of course, they conceded 3 goals against the Netherlands. I don't really think that Turner could have done much more to avoid those 3 goals going in. Beyond that, he really helped them through the group stage, kept 2 clean sheets in a group with, of course, England, Iran, and Wales, and was crucial, I think, to them actually progressing through to the knockout stages. And really, I think that's a successful World Cup, is the US men's national team progressing through to the knockout stages of this tournament. When they host the tournament in 4 years' time, I think they'll be hoping to get to at least the last, beyond the last 16, with the players, of course, that would have developed another 4 years by that point. But Turner advised to leave Arsenal if he wants to get the benefit of his career. But who would have thought that we were talking about Matt Turner after that performance against Nuremberg in the friendly in the July fixtures that we had this year? Really wasn't rated too much by our fan base. That has significantly grown. The appreciation for him has grown as well significantly since then. Arsenal are actually set to receive a bit of a boost, it turns out, because FIFA have said that they will be paying around roughly £8,500 per player per day that they're at the tournament. This meant that Arsenal made around 1.5 million pounds from the group stage alone. Around that amount, maybe slightly more, but obviously there was with Ben White leaving, we can assume that maybe some of the money was stopped early for him, because he isn't expected to go back to the England camp due to personal reasons. Because of the players that then progressed, we had Matt Turner, of course, that went through, that earned another 8,500. Takehiro Tomiyasu, another 25,000 around that figure, and Gabriel Jesus was there for a few more days, of course, earning the club another £17,000. Granit Xhaka got to the last day of the last 16, which meant another 34,000 was added to the pot. And then, of course, we've got William Saliba, Saka, Aaron Ramsdale, and Martinelli making their way through to the quarterfinals. If, hypothetically, Brazil were to meet England in the final, that would take the total, according to those figures, if we're using them as a guide, to about £2.1335 million pounds being given, or rather paid, to Arsenal by FIFA for their players taking part at the World Cup. Not loads when you consider the fact how much money is going on in the world of football, especially regarding transfer fees. However, it is around a third of what we paid for Gabriel Martinelli. So it could give us a third off a really good player, potentially. But of course, it's how Arsenal use that money to their benefit that ultimately will help them the most. And finally, our headline story of the day: it has been revealed that Atletico Madrid's asking price for Joao Felix, who we talked about in yesterday's show, remains at that €100 million price tag, potentially even more than that. And I cannot ever foresee Arsenal paying anywhere close to that for Joao Felix. Had Arsenal managed to get the price down to, say, I don't know, 50 million, that's probably the maximum I would have gone to for Joao Felix, €50 million, maybe slightly more. But 100 million euros? No, it's just not going to happen. Now, this, of course, is rumours coming out from Spain initially. Whether or not that's actually what Atletico Madrid will get for the player, I'm not 100% sure. Checking how long is left on the player's contract actually should give us a good idea of how much kind of power they currently have on the player. His contract runs out in 2026. He joined on a 7-year contract in 2019. So they have a lot of control, it seems, around the player's price tag. He's rated at 50 million euros on transfer market. So, it's not as if they're asking for a figure that's just far, far too high. So, no, I don't expect Joao Felix to be joining Arsenal this January. Nowhere near that level. But I think I'd be asking, 40 to 50 million pounds maximum if I was Arsenal. That's what I would be going in with a bid for if I was ever interested in Joao Felix, because he is not worth in that 100 million euro figure. Not a chance for me. Anyway, that brings us to an end to part 1. So we're going to move to part 2 and your questions right after this. Right then, let's get cracking on to part 2 and the questions. Lynn says, Tom, Matt Turner has improved immensely since coming to Arsenal. So in my honest opinion, it would be unwise to leave now because playing in the Premier League week after week is totally different. Of course it is. He has improved significantly since he first arrived at the club. And I think he's proved a lot of people wrong, actually, in their judgments about him. I think he's more than good enough to be Arsenal's number 2. I'm confident in playing in the Europa League games if we need him to. I did actually speak to Matt Turner after he played against, I think it was... I'm pretty sure it was the PSV home game. We spoke to him afterwards in the mix zone, and I asked him whether or not he's got any guarantees about the fact that he'll be playing in the Europa League knockout rounds. And he said, no, there are no guarantees for him, and he's got to keep fighting for his place. So he's a very humble guy, very nice guy to speak to as well, and very honest and lengthy, to be fair, and detailed with his answers when you do speak to him. So he isn't expecting to continue playing through into the knockout rounds, and I look forward to seeing what he brings if he does indeed start those games. But Arteta has shown in the past that he's kind of a little bit cutthroat with the knockout rounds. I remember him starting Bert Leno, despite having a backup goalkeeper to Leno when we were last in the Europa League. And Ramsdale, of course, wasn't here yet. So maybe Ramsdale will end up starting. We'll have to wait and see. We obviously don't even know who we're going to be playing yet in the round of 16 of the Europa League, because we've still got to complete the round of 32, which Arsenal are involved in because we finished top of the group. But we will watch Manchester United play Barcelona in one of the big clashes of those last 32 games. Masibulele says, hey, Tom, I don't think Arsenal fans should panic. Our strength is based on our system, which Jesus was a massive part of, but I think we'll still be in the title race when he returns. We've opened up this 5-point buffer, between ourselves and Manchester City, and that's a significant points tally in a title race that contains the likes of Man City. When you're opening up that much of a gap, it shows you how competitive you've been across a season with a side like Man City. Liverpool had to kind of maintain pace with Man City the entire time. They suffered with a couple of injuries, but not many, and they were very fortunate. Arsenal have suffered a significant injury, and it's going to cost us probably for around, 9, 10 plus games without Jesus. We've got to rely on the players that are here in Nketiah and Martinelli and Smith Rowe and Fabio Vieira to potentially cover Jesus, and obviously any players that we decide to sign in that January transfer window. We'll have to wait and see if anything changes. Maggie says, I know we don't have any details about Ben White's absence, but do you think he'll be back for our Boxing Day game against West Ham? Honestly, Matt, I don't know. And there is no point speculating because we don't know, and we just have to respect the fact that he's out of the game at the moment because of these personal reasons, and we will respect that and won't discuss it. Marcus says Turner should start just for not signing a Spurs shirt video. That was great. What a great moment in the summer transfer. I think Mike asked him about that actually in the US tour. I'm pretty sure that he did. Olu says, hey, Tom, did you see Mudryk posting his transfer mark value on his Instagram? Seems like he's forcing a move. Yes, I did. I also think I saw him reply to someone who advised him that it wasn't the best idea to do that, and then said that they're his agent now. He can do what he wants. He's doing everything he can to try and, force a move, it seems. That's all he can do. We often talk about player attitude and whether or not, I think he's doing everything he can. But there is also part of me thinking, that is the character of this guy to try and force this move is a bit odd, but maybe it'll get the move done in the end. Wilson with his catchphrase, what on earth are Atletico Madrid smoking over there in terms of selling Felix for 100 million euros? That is absolute madness, and there is no way in hell that Arsenal are paying that. Come on, man. Yeah, absolutely. I don't think anyone's going to pay that, let alone just Arsenal. I just can't see Arsenal or anyone paying close to 100 million for Joao Felix whatsoever. But his relationship with Diego Simeone isn't the best. In fact, he came out in the media the other day and was talking about how the way Portugal play and the way that Atleti play are very different, and that's why he's benefiting from his time in the national team, which, it's telling when you see kind of comments like that about relationships between the club and the player. Abe says, I saw rumours that Tammy Abraham will be available for around 40 million. That's according to Italian sources, of course. Yes, not the best. But Tammy Abraham, of course, is a player that Arsenal have been interested in before. We wanted him in the summer of 2021. In the end, we weren't able to go out because we weren't able to shift either of Lacazette or Aubameyang. Whether or not we're still interested in kind of signing a player for that amount of money, we'll have to wait and see. But I doubt a striker for that amount of money is on Arsenal's kind of want list this winter. I might be proved on. We'll have to wait and see. Deep 11 says, Tom, during the summer window, I said I would 100% take Mudryk over Neto. And you all laughed at me, but you're not laughing now, are you? Well, Neto's injured, so no, he's injured. So I don't know why anyone would be laughing at you after signing a player that's not injured compared to a player that is injured. Also, I get comments like this a lot, people saying that I said, well, and often they leave them in the comment section below videos. Something that I've said in the summer, that's 6 months old now, 3, 4 to 6 months old, those comments. Comments change, minds change, in the moment of saying something then compared to now, it's a very different period. A lot of football has happened in that time and opinions are allowed to change. And when you say to someone, well, you're not laughing at me now, or look how silly you look now, what actually you do is you discourage people from having open minds. You discourage people from changing their minds or having the ability to change their mind because then they're too scared of looking a little bit embarrassed about being wrong about something in the past. So let's not undermine someone's point of view that they held 3, 4, 6, 18, 24, however many months ago, because they probably had their fair reasoning to think as they did, or the things that have happened since have given the ability now and the evidence that's put on show to then change their mind. Changing your mind is certainly not a show of weakness. In fact, it's the complete opposite. And I'd say that stubbornly maintaining a view out of pride makes you look a lot worse in the long run, as many people have seen with Mikel Arteta's rise to Arsenal leading the Premier League by 5 points at this stage. Marcus says, do you only want Balogun to stay in France so you can keep saying Reims? Keep up the great work. He's not at Rouen. He's not at Rennes. He's at Reims, as some people describe it, or Reims, which is actually at. But no, he's doing very well, and I want to see him play week in, week out at Reims. Reims. I keep on wanting to say Reims now because I think I saw Robin FTV say Reims, but it's pronounced Reims, something like that. I'm trying my best, guys. I do my best with pronunciations, but yeah, there you go. Mark says, I disagree with Tom's valuation on Felix. He's at least 70 million. He's shown that he is capable of that against big teams. He won La Liga's title and he won the Golden Boy Award, and he's still 23. He has 3 more years left, I think, actually, Mark, on his deal. That's fair. It's opinions. I'm not saying that he's worth 50. I said that's what I'd pay. I personally wouldn't really go over 50 in a market in January because we have to go out and spend more on a midfielder. So somehow we've got to balance the books. If we went and spent 70 million on him, I don't think I'd complain all that much. It's more so because of what we're doing in that window and how much we've got to spend. I don't see us having 100-odd million quid to spend in January. And if we spend 70 million on Joao Felix, I don't see us having any more money really left to go and spend it on somebody in midfield, which is also an area that we need to make sure that we strengthen in. So that's where kind of my valuation of what I'm spending comes from. Chris says they're hoping to sell and they are quoting at 100 million. Please get me Rafael Leao. Again, another player that might be going for a very serious fee from Milan in the summer. Marcus says there's around 600 of you watching and there's only 30 likes. It should be at least 600. Come on, guys, drop the like button, a little press. It really does show your appreciation for the hard work that goes on to putting on these shows for you every single day, every single morning, bright and early for your breakfast, your school run, your work run, all of that good stuff. So do drop a like on the video it does show the appreciation significantly. And of course, subscribe if you're new. Sometimes people watch the show and then realize they're not even subscribed because it just pops up on their YouTube feeds because they've been watching the show for so long, not even subscribed because they watch it so much, it just pops up for them. Do subscribe. It really helps out the channel. And we're hoping to get to 50K by next summer and then do a live show in London to celebrate it. So do help us on our way to 50K. Jay says, hi, Tom. Are there any players that have caught your eye at the World Cup that you would have never considered signing prior to that World Cup? Also, keep up the great work. More videos with Harry. Those are great. Don't worry, more videos with Harry will, of course, be coming. Don't you worry. Myself and Harry really enjoy each other's company and in a professional way or over a beer. But yeah, we'll definitely be doing more shows. Don't you worry as the seasons go on. Actually, I think we'll both be at the Brighton game. So we might do a little clip whilst we're there at the Amex Stadium on New Year's Eve. That'd be nice. But yes, what players that have impressed me at the World Cup? I hadn't really watched loads of Piero Hincapié of Ecuador. I know he didn't have the best last game of the group against Senegal. But I liked what I saw from him against Qatar and the Netherlands. I was impressed by him a lot. So he's probably one that stood out for me. I spoke about Lyon at Tunisia. I wouldn't say he's someone I'd want Arsenal to sign necessarily, but I was impressed by him at the World Cup. And, you know, Matt Turner, I know that he's already an Arsenal player, but as I mentioned earlier on in the show, Matt Turner really impressed me at the tournament. I'm kind of glad that we already have him in our team. I think that's a really positive thing to have. Let's scroll down. Let's go to Deep 11. I know you didn't mean it in a rude way. I wasn't talking about you specifically on that whole opinion thing. Bakary Lasagna said that pronunciation sounded like somebody was trying to start a lawnmower. What? Horns? It's not a bad description, to be fair. Mo Demix says, hi, Tom. If you could buy one player this January, would you look for a short-term loan or a long-term signing as a forward if needed? I'm sure when you say forward, you mean a striker. If you mean a forward in general and you're still including kind of the Mudryk-esque players, it has to be a long-term option, I think, for Arsenal. We have to find someone because a loan option, I just don't think is out there. The difference between that and the striker options, I don't really think the striker opportunities are really out there this January if we want to bring a wide player and a midfielder in. So probably a loan or a short-term deal for a striker, if that's what you're talking about. But a forward in general, I think we still need to bring in a versatile wide forward, and I would look to invest in a long-term option like a Mudryk, for instance. Nuna says, Tom, I don't think Felix is that match worth. I don't think he's even worth 50 million euros. I would rather pay the 70 million on a Sane and try Martinelli in the middle. Fair enough. Jean says, do you think leading the league should force us to change our transfer strategy? I'm afraid this would make us do something rash. It should certainly encourage us to be more aggressive than we may have been in the market and really try and get somebody in. I think that's the key point of this window. I don't think it's going to make us panic. I do think they will stick to the plan that they've already got, but I think they'll be more intent on trying to get the deals done. Maybe they would have not gone to the levels of the money that maybe some clubs have asked for. But now, because we're in the position that we are, I think maybe they'll be a bit more proactive and aggressive in the market. I hope I'm right. Bakary Lasagna, thank you so much for joining up as a member of the channel. Welcome to the family. I'm already sure that the chat box is welcoming you. We actually had a few more join our Discord server as well the other day. It's always good to see the channel and the micros. What am I talking about? The members Discord server. Where was I going with micro? I always see that growing from micro to macro. There you go. We worked it into the conversation somehow. Let's go to Francois, who says, Tom, I have a message for Arsenal. Do not buy any player off of their World Cup performances, period. Enough with the cautious enthusiasm. AFC fans are the only ones who think we won't win the Premier League. Some AFC fans. It's always important to caveat that. I know you've seen plenty of Arsenal fans saying this, but it's always important to say some Arsenal fans because not all Arsenal fans are like that. And thankfully, I've got a community of thousands that are very sensible, level-headed and objective in their views. I've said this from the start, though, in terms of signing player off a World Cup performance. I don't think you should do that. I don't think you should allow the World Cup to influence your view on the potential of signing someone over someone you've appreciated before the World Cup started. It's a very small sample size in a very different setup in an international tournament. It's very, very different to the domestic scene. You should be cautious with that. That is for sure. Marcus says, with Jesus' injury, do we go for a striker who can play wide rather than a wide player who can play as a striker? no, I still think we should go for the wide player who can play in more positions than one. We're going to be wrapping up very soon. Mohammed says Joao Felix on loan is a good. Why would they do that? Why would Atletico Madrid allow a player that they value at 100 million euros to leave on loan? We have to be sensible. We have to be objective about these things. Atletico Madrid are never going to let him go on loan. So apparently, Arsenal have inquired about loan deals even in the past because they thought they might be able to get a player who's out of favour there. No, I don't know why they would allow him to leave on loan. It would make no sense to them to do that. Fuad says, I do think a centre-forward loan would be really good to get because if Eddie gets injured, the amount of shuffling that would need to be done in attack would be mental. I think that yes, but we are obviously then saying if Eddie Nketiah gets injured, injuries do happen. I was having a number of discussions on Twitter over the last few days, people saying that we're short in attack. Like, we are short in attack because we've had an injury, but most clubs have two natural strikers and then a number of players that can also play centrally. We have Jesus and Nketiah as our two, whereas, Liverpool have Firmino and Nunez. Man City have Alvarez and Haaland. Man United have Ronaldo and, they have Rashford, I guess. Martial, I suppose, the third one, but Ronaldo's not there anymore, so they've got two. And I expect us to use those players that are versatile, like Smith Rowe, like Martinelli, like Vieira, who's played as a false nine at Porto. So I expect us to use those options if we end up signing a wide player for the 3 months that he's out. And I say 3 months, it's more like 2 and a bit if it is indeed 3 months, because we don't even know the full extent of the injury and the recovery period yet. I imagine that it's more around the 2+ months because of the 3 weeks that he's going to have to recover whilst the World Cup is still going on. Gunnar King says we can win the league. I absolutely believe that, but see that it will be tough. We just have to keep up the positivity, the encouragement, the hope that, the amount of doom and gloom and negativity I see spread, not just on YouTube, but on Twitter saying it's over, it's done, And I was the one being the most cautious. I said that I didn't want to say we were in a title race till kind of May and April time, till we were, on the back of Man City's coattails, if you like. But we're in a title race right now, so let's not say it's over. We know that the Arsenal players look across the Arsenal sphere of fans and their views. Imagine if they're looking across Twitter and they're just seeing fans say, because we've lost one player, it's all over. It's really disappointing that people are that negative about Arsenal. It really, really is. I'm going to have to wrap things up there. But thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. Really appreciate your time. As always, it's been an absolute pleasure to join you. As I said, please do go and watch the podcast that we released yesterday, our weekly show that will be going out every single Wednesday. The Eat, Sleep, Arsenal, Repeat podcast is there for you to go and enjoy it. If you want to listen to it just on audio, it's over on audio platforms as well. Myself, Sophie, Owen, and Dr. Raj talking about Gabriel Jesus' injury in much greater detail, Smith Rowe making his return, and the World Cup woes taking their toll on the team. I'll be back tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. with a Raw reaction show reacting to the performance against Lyon in the Super Cup of Dubai. And of course, if you want to catch up with the game live, I'll be doing live coverage of the game in the live text over on football.london. So do make sure you tune in. And as I said earlier, if you are indeed at the game and somehow you're watching this, amazing, first of all. Secondly, do get in touch. I'd love to hear from you and know what your experience is like as well. Thank you so much for tuning in. I will see you. Drop a like, subscribe, as always. And as always, up the Arsenal.